couple of years. So have we had a list of things that
that
could be
list is
involved in?
embedded in our student parent handbook, so it's not just a separate communication, but it could be to highlight those
Because I
opportunities.
think that maybe the parents will push kids, oh, why don't you do this?
But then one of the things that helps is here's what we have, but these are the typical meeting dates and things that they can plan accordingly.
Yeah, yeah,
So they
that's
meet the second Wednesday of the month and it goes from 3:30 to 4:30, like that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
that'd be great.
That people need, so you can plan. As a dad, I
Yeah.
can see the value in that myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was my question. So then as part of this, a plan for how we're going to increase
Right.
participation?
So, okay, so, perfect. So what I shared with the staff today is, so this is big district level stuff we're talking about, how all of it rolls together. In the meantime, they have building leadership teams that are overseeing their actual plans on a page. So they have a plan on a page to address what they can influence here. So they have a team about communication and engagement, and this should be something that they're looking at, so specifically at their grade level. So right now, as far as percent of students in clubs and activities, we're not saying we would measure that at our K-5 level or K-6 level. So the focus is on 7-12. So right now, then the middle school would be looking at this and saying, okay, what do we have to offer, collecting their local data. And that's why it's great to have this be, as this is our pilot. We're looking at it, we're checking it out, kind of get in front of it, you know, because we're in charge of this one. Actually, you are, right, in the end. So it's like we're pulling this together and sharing with you. So we're looking for that feedback as we go through this. So I think that's on the right page or not.
School district should also take a look at everything from the karate program downtown and stuff like that as well. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that our kids are engaged, and sometimes we don't have that data, but how that, I mean, everything from that being transferred over in order to get to the next belt, they ask for.
So you can get that kind of stuff through a
Feedback from the
survey
teachers,
if they're
things like
involved.
that.
But that one part though, the hard part is we can't influence that, right? Those are family decisions on being a part of that. Now, if
Absolutely.
things are through like, right now we've started Fund 80 to support community
Correct,
tutoring.
and I think
If
that
we
can
do
transfer
more-
over to Fund 80 to support some of those things.
That stuff would count.
Especially for folks that don't have the ability or
Sure.
the necessary ability.
If you look at community-based programming, then, and it's funded through the system here, that absolutely we would be looking at saying, yeah, we're gonna take credit for that.
Yeah, so look at that as being engaged in the community.
But we don't have that yet, so it's something that we could definitely consider. So next on here, so that's worth 30% of that overall color up. So the next is, we've got student engagement, staff engagement. Both of those are using Gallup as a survey. Right now, Gallup itself, we would say we're meeting expectations if we are hitting this language of above national average in engagement and hopefulness. So that's the language that comes with the Gallup survey itself. So, okay, so now we go to staff engagement, and this is a different piece where the staff are being surveyed, and we believe that a highly engaged workforce is a good thing. And with that, they're comparing our staff to other staff in the, like, anybody who's taken a Gallup survey. So the national average is somewhat disengaged, believe it or not, in the survey. So Ted's gonna come down, he's gonna speak to you about these different Gallup surveys, guarantee he'll be able to speak to these. And we're using, this is like a set norm from district to district right now in the organizations that it's working with. So 33%. So what they're saying is the average workplace is extremely disengaged. You know?
Is this average workplace or average school
No,
workplace? Just
work-
workplace across the board,
workplace.
or school workplace,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
High school
No,
workplace. I thought it
no,
was
this
across
is
the
staff
board.
engagement. So
Okay.
this survey is, I believe this is just in general. So this same survey could be given to just local companies, and you would get similar results. So the average person providing answers to the surveys are saying that they're somewhat engaged.
So what
So with that, you get data, and now you can say, okay,
Are we
okay,
trending?
great, now what are we gonna do about
Yeah.
it? So let's look at our areas for improvement. And one of the key parts that Ted said when he spoke to us was, when he gave the survey, some of the people didn't even understand what they were being surveyed on. Like when you look at the language that's there. So that was his biggest aha. So he came back and said, okay, we need to talk to this. And then they had conversations about it, saying why it matters and what can we do. You said you're somewhat engaged. We're going for engaged, if not actively engaged. We want to be in the top. So then they put together strategies in order to help him to increase that. So to me, awesome. So get that level of data, figure out what your opportunities for improvement are, and keep bringing it home. So we'll take the data. Whatever's coming is about to come. So we are trying to figure out the right time to give all the surveys is the deal. So, and the other part is, for some of our data points, not to survey, not to test. It's like this balance, you know? And then, so that's for staff and student. And then I'm gonna skip it down.
What does staff engagement mean? What are we measuring?
We will, that's way more complicated than I'm gonna be able to answer from this little template here. We actually will have to we'll bring the survey and share it with you. And that'll tell you what we're measuring. So they feel like one of them's like they feel like they actually have a friend at work. And some people are like, well, I don't need a friend at work. I just need to get my job done. Well, that's a level of engagement. If you say you do not have a friend at work, it actually, check, bad mark. You know?
Scott, I can add a couple quick ones. Do I have the materials and things I need to do my job well? Have I received a compliment or a positive reinforcement about my job performance in the last so many days?
Yeah.
Do I know what's expected of me at work? It's pretty, I think there's 9 or 11 questions, Scott, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's not, so we can bring a copy of the Gallup survey in, so I'll put that on the to-do list, but I know
And Ted trained
Ted's
his
gonna
people
come
to,
in.
he trained his people to understand what each thing means.
Right, exactly. So it's like, all right, how do you want to do on this? If you just give it out there and you do nothing with it and you're not responsive, you're gonna get what you get. So to me, a lot of this is a level of awareness in advance. So that's what's important for as far as engagement. We need to help educate people about what they're about to do. It's not going to be, you will all answer that you are engaged on this, right? No, it's just making sure they understand what the questions are. The difference now, in the other survey that we're gonna be giving out, this one we looked at the surveys. We have surveyed parents in the past. A lot of the time it's K-8 for our title program funding, we have a survey. This is a K-12 survey piece. And to start out, it is so difficult to get parents to do surveys that actually we were looking for just getting them to do it. So if you look
Have
at our
you thought
measurements.
about changing it as they're bringing kids in for the lower grades and having them do it with the teachers? And oh, by the way, before you come in and see me,
Yes.
you need to get the survey done.
We-
It's still tough, huh?
Okay, so like at math night, come on, let's take a survey. So we're gonna try to engage them any opportunity we can to complete the survey and make sure that Tatiana doesn't fill out the survey 7 times, the same exact survey. So we want everybody to do it once because we're looking at an overall response rate. So we're trying to articulate that system and get it in place. But again, this is good, just sharing with you, this is where we're headed, and now it's our job to get these surveys all in place. And so then this is the kind of information we'll be reviewing over the summer and in the fall. As we actually, this will all be done by next October is when we'll finally have all of our data. So there's 3 surveys, clubs being participated, could result in join the nest kind of initiative, identifying where our weaknesses are. We may say we're doing so well, we're gonna raise the bar, and 1's not enough, we're gonna want to see more. But then the other piece that's on this is about staff retention, and this literally is a report that we are going to get from CESA 6. So what we want to see is we want to be average, right, as far as the amount of retention. And so our little metrics are only if you are 1 to 3% above the CESA 6 average, so that would be exceeding expectations. So this is definitely one very much driven by the Board of Education. All of them are, but this is the board's house, working with the administrative team. So you have to look at this metric and say, all right, makes sense, yes or no? But again, I think having Ted come down, talk to you, so for some of these specific ones, because this is about a CESA 6 average. So what does that mean? If the C6 average has high turnover, as long as we are 1 to 3% above that high turnover, we would be exceeding expectations. And I guess that's because that's our competitive market, is CISA 6, the region. You know, and then we won't be able to get, like, that's because we're all sharing and CISA 6 has access to that information, but we would not be able to get, if we go south and we get into Waukesha County, we want to do comparisons, that would literally be us picking up the phone and calling. So the best resource to use is the CISA 6. So that's what I wanted to cover tonight. So it's those 5 variables that are part of our communications and engagement piece. And with that, we'll know if we need to do more newsletters. We'll know if we need more face-to-face meetings. We'll know. So we're going to get a lot of feedback coming in. And I guarantee there'll be plenty of opportunities for us to learn from that and to grow. And it could be extremely overwhelming by doing it all like this spring. But hey, got to start. So that's on the radar. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you. And then I have another resource, because really what I'm going to end up with is stuff on policies, because that's leading to future action item. So before I do that, because I wanted to share that from our last meeting, we talked about the operations and finance house. And from there, we had a meeting with EMC, and we talked about the very exciting mod rate, right? So we talked about the fact that you want to be at a 1, because 1 is average. Right now, we're at a 1.06, which is good. And we're about to go this way. We know that for a fact based upon a claim we had. So we wanted to look at our data to say, okay, what can we do to, yeah, I'm sorry. We wanted to look at our data to see what we could do to get in front of it. So there are 8 things that, working with our consultant, that we talked about. So one is that we would like to see system-wide creation of job descriptions that have in them. Now, we need them. We have job descriptions. They need to be updated, okay? So actually having in all those job descriptions weightlifting limits, okay? So being mindful, making sure right out of the gate, welcome to Mayville. You will not be lifting anything over 50 pounds, right? But just, it's important if we're talking about our insurance. And then also putting in our job descriptions, our ability to do fitness for duty expectations. So in some of our positions, they have to be lifting 50 pounds or more. Well, when you're in a position and you're in that job for 7 years, you were able to do it. Can you do it now? And we do have absolutely a shortage in some of our support staff jobs. But in the meantime, as far as insurance goes and safety, we need to make sure that they are fit to do that position as times as they have changed in their role. So if we don't have that in writing, it's kind of a hard thing to do. By the way, I'm going to talk to you today. We need to do a fitness for duty assessment. Like, well, what is that? Where is that coming from? Why am I getting this today? So that's something that we'd like to get done this spring. Also, if we do have any work-related injuries, having a connection with preferred providers, making sure they go to someone who's in network versus out of network, because that is a workman's comp claim at that point in time. They were injured at work. Here we go. Well, we're responsible, right? Well, we need to guide them to places that are network to help to control costs. So, number 3, provide employee wellness workshops via the athletic trainer. That's something I'm not sure we have an athletic trainer. They recommend reaching out to them to see what they can do. We do have some afternoons that we have scheduled some wellness stuff with staff. So that, hey, that's a good idea just to reach out to see where do they fit their contracted service for us, so they might be able to do some good stuff with our staff. Next, if we do have anybody who is off of work due to a workplace injury, we really need to focus on getting them back to work as soon as possible. So it's called Return to Work. It's a Return to Work initiative. So if anybody's out of work for more than 3 days, that's when it starts to hit the marker for our insurance. So it's a negative mark for us. Okay, so that's a big deal. That even includes a Saturday. Sundays don't count, but if somebody's out Friday, they are out on Monday, even if they were working on Saturday, that's considered 3 days. So we need to do a return to work initiative. We are mindful of that, but I just think it's important for us to be really paying attention. With that, if somebody's ever off of work, in order to support that return to work, we really need to identify these transitional, it should say, yeah, it does, it's a transitional duties. Hey, you do light work, great. Here's a menu of stuff we have. We have had to provide that already this year, and it didn't take a lot to coordinate, but we had to coordinate. We didn't have it all pulled together. So that makes it difficult for somebody to come back. So you're saying, hey, come back to work. Well, what do you have for me? Here's what we have for you. We have a litany of them. So we need to get that organized. And that could even be volunteering in town. So it could be working down at the city. It could be anywhere, as long as we're saying, come back, we're gonna pay you for your wages, as long as we have something for them to do that meets that transition piece. So the next part, when we looked at our claims, it's slips, trips, and falls, and then it's like bites. Like, it's not a lot, just so you know, but it's a bite, it's a bruise, it's a foot stomped on, that kind of thing, that's student-driven to staff, is the deal. So that impacts, so they are injured at work, it could be very minor, no matter what. They're injured at work, they had to go to the doctor, we had to make sure they're all clear. So, so we've had all of those really, for us overall, have been minor, but we still want to get in front of it. So one of those is to do a room environment audit to make sure our rooms are all set up, where if someone needs to walk away, they have a clear path that they can walk away. That also NVCI training, so nonviolent crisis intervention training. There's like a 2-day workshop that goes with that, nonviolent crisis intervention training. But the first half of it is all about it's about the verbal de-escalation, the nonverbal, your body language, just understanding how to read people, tone, that kind of stuff. So that'd be great training for all staff. And we've already had kind of some discussions about that, but then to go through this moderate piece and to see that that's something that they recommended that we do, is like, yeah, no brainer. So we'll be doing this already this summer in the month of June as part of we have a 3-day summer institute, I'm calling it, with staff. So we'll be having some, at least a half a day of nonviolent crisis intervention training with all staff. And that's for everybody. That's not just classroom teachers, that's bus drivers, custodians, you name it. So the next part, slips and falls. We just need to keep talking about best practices, because that's actually where our highest claims have been. It's some things that we could have been avoided. So like, nobody uses a ladder. Just, sorry guys, no one's using a ladder unless you're one of these 2 people, done. And we did talk about actually putting in a very, like a 2-step ladder and having it accessible and saying they could use that. But right now, with where our moderator is headed, we're just like, no, no one's using a ladder. It's just not gonna happen. So there are limited people who are going to do that. And then also, like in winter time, and we have started to do this at the high school, where the doors are labeled. Use this door versus use all doors. Because salting every single entrance, maintaining every single entrance at the perfect level, as the storms keep coming, is not realistic. So we need to train people, staff, students, family members. These are the doors. Here's where you need to go. We will absolutely be maintaining all of them, but these are the ones for sure. This will be your safe pathway into the building. So I thought that was made a lot of sense. And then the last thing is that safe schools training. So right now we're using public school works, and we are paying for that. And that resource is actually over the top of the amount of trainings in it. We like to do face-to-face trainings, and then we can get safe schools training for free through EMC, versus we're currently paying for the separate entity. So that's about a $4,000 savings for next year. So those are outcomes out of our meeting. I thought it was perfect. It's a good example of, hey, things that you say matter. Look, we now have an action plan. All of these things are coming to light. So I wanted to share that. So we'll be doing all of this spring and throughout the summer.
Just out of curiosity, how do you balance, you want an employee to get back to work within 3 days for these reasons. How do you balance that without sometimes people feeling pressured to
Yeah.
come back if they might not be ready, you know,
So-
it's
EMC will help with that, and then doctors obviously too. So if they're injured, we're not gonna rush them back, no way. But we are gonna talk about being organized for those transitional duties, so if they are ready, where it's not like, well, I don't know what to do.
Right,
Yeah,
so
we
they
need
can
you
do
back to work,
something.
but we don't really have this. So we need to show them confidently that, yep, you're welcome back, we've got some light work for you, no problem, everything will work out great. We have had people come in, do light work, and then have to be on.
Is that an
leave.
extra hit at all? Like, you know what I mean? If,
No, it's not a separate price.
okay, I was just wondering if
No.
that was like a considered different.
What happens with some of those, like, there's actually a threshold for claims, so we get the level of cost that goes with it, but some of those actually have like a cap too. So insurance claims, believe it or not, high insurance claims have less of an impact as frequent little ones. It's the,
That
it's
makes
how they
sense.
measure it.
It's just,
Mhm.
So frequency
correct.
and spike for cost, but if it's insurance cost, that is the least impact. It's the time off of work for big claims that has the greatest impact.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm learning as we go here, so it's actually, I thought it was really fun. So our teacher gone rogue mod rate is what you have in front of you right now. So, okay, so I wanted to share those two pieces with you tonight. And then just as far as things that are coming up, and then we're gonna talk about policies. So the conventions this week, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Dick's going, I'm going, Jenny, you'll be there. Joe, are you going?
I'm gonna have to say Friday, yes, I've got a job, training going on. I
Okay.
have to be
Are you
involved.
gonna make
No,
that,
no pressure, I just wanted to
You
know
never
if
got
we're gonna
back
catch
to
up
me.
with you.
Oh,
are you gonna make the delegate convention? That's when.
probably, that would be that.
That's
It's on
Thursday.
night.
It's-
Well, that's not at night. Or was it-
No, it's during the
Oh,
day.
the
when we first
training?
get there.
Oh, okay. I thought they always had something
No,
with,
they wouldn't have during the day. Or it must be Wednesdays,
I think
because they gotta,
yeah.
they wouldn't be over. Wednesday, they have in the morning general session,
Yeah.
so it must be Wednesday.
I just wanna know
have
who
to
I'm
say
looking out
no
for
right
right down
now.
there.
So I've got a new
My
job
commute's
transition that I'm
super
actually
easy, I just
training
head straight
for.
over.
Nice.
Okay, so I'll
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 talk.
go in then for
I
delegate.
did not sign you up because you
Oh, that's fine.
never got
Oh.
back to me.
I'm good.
Okay.
Nobody signed up for delegate then?
No.
Well, you don't sign up for that, you just.
No, you show up.
Oh, they gotta,
Yeah.
Well,
I'll write myself in.
Check it, yeah.
Okay,
I'll
all
take
right.
that.
So, sounds good. Just wanted to confirm. So with that, on Friday, I'm gonna be meeting with a representative from Findorf down in Milwaukee. They're handing off a template for a 15-year plan. So we're doing lunch. Travis is gonna come down. We're gonna get trained in the software for this document, for the facility plan. So I've yet to see it, so just to
Wow.
FYI. Okay, so we'll start working with that when we come back. So Friday, January 31st, it's hard to believe the end of January is already coming. That is the Hall of Fame following the girls' basketball game. That's at 9 o'clock, so I think everybody was mailed an invitation to that. That's a nice community event. It is late, but that's fun. February 3rd is the biannual countywide school safety meeting. So a lot of the pieces that we talk about for school safety, our plans, they all come from that meeting. So we did a boot camp way back when, and we're always coming together and we're sharing and discussing it there. So then that's the same day as the board meeting that's on February 3rd. So, policies. In the Google Doc agenda, okay, because that's what this is a Google Doc, I have linked 2 different documents. So these are the resources that the policy committee reviewed with me. So one is the one that says Neola Overview. This is an overview that Neola actually created for the state of Wisconsin. And this goes into a deeper level than I'm going to cover tonight for all of the updates. So we have 2 updates that were covered. One is volume 28, number 1, and the other one is the safety update. The safety update is came out the summer of 2018, right before school started, literally came out right as school started. And that was in response to the Department of Justice updates. There were the Department of Justice grants and all the things that happened. So that these are reflecting the Department of Justice